Good evening, I'm Lee Clark. On this extraordinary night in American history, we have as our guest an English journalist who has an extraordinary understanding of the American experience, Mr. Alistair Cooke. But before we go to him this evening, we should talk perhaps a moment about the day's events. Richard Nixon, as everybody knows by now, has changed his stand on the White House tapes and has agreed to let Judge Sirica review them in camera, which was Judge Sirica's ruling of several weeks ago. Billy, what do you make of it?
Well, I think it's the only thing that the president could have done to get the heat of impeachment off. And I think that he'll do that this will cool the moves in the House. I think some people will go ahead with them. But I think if he hadn't done this, impeachment wouldn't have come about. There would have been strong moves, but now I don't think there's much of a chance at this point.
You know, Mark Birnbaum, one of our filmmakers, and Travis Rhodes are in Washington. They were there on another story, but suddenly they were there for one of the biggest stories of the year. And they were on the floor of Congress today and said that the move for impeachment was really quite strong. Even congressmen like Dale Milford were talking about impeachment, which shows that the weather has changed.
Yeah, it sure has, yeah. I've said all along that I don't think that Nixon has incriminated himself on these tapes, and that all along I think that he held out on this principle of executive privilege. And he's making the tapes more important than they are to the whole case. Now, if the judge looks at these and decides that the president is in fact innocent on the tapes, then the whole country will sigh with relief, and Nixon will be safe again for the moment.
But the tapes are obviously only a part of a larger picture. What part does that play in this political strategy?
Well, that's true. We were talking about that earlier. What was the point that you were making?
Well, it seems to me, or at least my hunch is, that the Cox investigative force was getting close to other areas that might be sensitive for the president, like the IT&T case and the milk fund and the San Clemente house and the $100 bills dropped off in a suitcase at the San Clemente residence from Howard Hughes. And there was some talk in the correspondence between Charles Allen Wright and Archibald Cox about other documents being subpoenaed. And the White House said, oh, we could never agree to that. I'm wondering if the real concern is not the tapes, but perhaps other documents.
You know,
but can anybody suppose that those aren't going to be pursued?
Well, the president obviously hoped that Henry Peterson and Robert Bork would take a softer line. Remember, it was Henry Peterson who pursued James McCord and Howard Hunt and the lesser criminals of Watergate and let it go at that.
But that was in a cooler climate than today.
That's quite true.